Welcome to the Amplify to Seven Figures podcast, where we look inside the mind of seven-figure entrepreneurs to see how they amplify their business and amplify their life. Let's welcome today's guest. Welcome to the Amplify to Seven Figures podcast. Today's guest is the CEO and founder of attention-grabbing media. After helping his father take his company from $2 million in revenue in one country to $40 million in 8 countries in just 4 years, he thought, do you know what? I think I can help other people do the same. So he took one of his first clients from 500K in monthly sales to 3 million in 6 months and helped generate over 2 billion views across social media. His agency has more than 50 staff serving hundreds of clients and students in different markets. He also empowers others by teaching them how to harness the power of social media platforms such as Facebook, Messenger, and Instagram to expand their brands. He's obsessed with teaching clients and students how to capture the number one thing that's contributed to his growth, and that is attention. His company is Shark Tank Daymond Johns' preferred marketing partner. Please give a very warm welcome to my special guest, Manuel Suarez.
Oh, that's awesome, Paul. What a great intro. I'm pumped to be here today.
I'm pumped to dive inside your mind. Is that okay if we do that a little bit today?
That's my favorite thing to do in the world, man. I love it.
I love it. So, listen, you're doing a lot of different stuff on social media, and I see. I think you mentioned to me before, 70% of small businesses struggle with Facebook ads. Why do you think that is?
It just changes so fast, Paul. It's something that you have to be on the ball. You got to be consistently learning. You got to stay up to date. If you just back in the day, you used to go to college, go for a career, and you can succeed in that career the rest of your life. Those days are gone. In this environment, especially in the business environment and the marketing environment, you need to absolutely be on the game, meaning that you have to learn every day. You have to optimize. You got to test. You got to work on things. You got to, the Facebook advertising world can be intense, especially right now with a lot of changes that are happening in the atmosphere. iOS 14, Apple battles against Facebook, and so on. But that world, you have to be ready to battle, and you have to be willing to lose a lot of those battles in order to win a few of them. They're going to allow you to win in general, right? So at the micro, people can create campaigns and look like they're failing, but the real successful advertisers of these platforms, the ones that do well, they consistently test out strategies and campaigns, and they fail 7-8 times. But when they win 9/10th time, those things, they can scale forever. Like, I've been scaling successful campaigns for years, some of the ones that have succeeded, and they keep on working today. It's about finding out that perfect balance between failure and success. Once you discover that, there's a lot of potential in that, and it's about discovering these opportunities that are out there. There's plenty of opportunities. That's my obsession. I don't try to create opportunities. I try to jump on top of opportunities that are there already.
I love that part of it, and it's interesting that you mentioned about testing. So do you think it's just because, so you guys have had some big results, right? So do you think one of the reasons for that is just because you test more than anyone else?
Because I don't give up as easily.
Okay.
Maybe because I'm willing to be wrong many times. I mean, it goes back. It's the way you succeed in life, Paul. It's just the way it is, right? Like one of the most successful Nike commercials of all time. What was the commercial? It was Michael Jordan and his voice talking about he succeeds because he's failed over and over and over again. And there's a store in Tampa Bay, over here in the Tampa International Mall where I live. And you walk into this store called House of Hoops, which they have a lot of the Jordan shoes. And there's a big line that has been printed on the top of the store, and it says, I've succeeded because I failed, right? Like, it's just the way it is, right? It's like, and I'm paraphrasing, if somebody lives in Tampa Bay area and they want to correct me, but you guys get the point. It's MJ himself, the greatest athlete of all time, wants to explain to people, look, there's no magic pill. It's not like I grew up making game-winning shots, right? It's like I worked my butt off to become who I am today. And that thing is really applicable to our world, Paul. You gotta just get back to the drawing board when you fail and try something else out and look for an opportunity. Oh, I should give that a try. And there's a quote that I use a lot on my seminars. I've been doing seminars now. It feels like 100 years. It's been probably about 5 years, 6 years that I've been doing seminars and webinars, especially webinars now in the last year and a half, aggressively. But there's one quote that I use from a great philosopher named Seneca, which most of you guys know who that one is. But he explains what does it mean to get lucky. And luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. So in the world of business, I mean, this is all like, it sounds cliche-ish, but it's so incredibly powerful that the magic formula is to be willing to fail, to get back to the drawing board, to consistently learn, make yourself better. And when you fail, don't consider yourself a loser, a Debbie Downer, go cry to a corner and just get back at it and find something else that you can learn so you can get more success. I always tell people, look, if you haven't succeeded in social media marketing, in building your own website, in your e-commerce, in whatever the case may be, you simply haven't learned enough to give you that opportunity to succeed. And that has been proven to me time and time and time again. When I fail at something, I could either give up or I can keep on learning until I try and succeed. It's an incredibly powerful, magical mindset formula. Entrepreneurship, it's the most underrated thing in the success of any entrepreneur out there, and building a business is the mindset and the understanding of what the process is and what it takes to really win in this particular environment. It's what it's all about.
It's interesting that you say that, and around the mindset part. Did you have a shift, a catalyst for that change? So I know you, like you say, you went into your father's business and took it from 2 million to 40 million. Now, something has to change in your mindset in general to be able to deal with that influx in the way the business changes. Like when you go from one country to 8 countries, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in a rapid, short amount of time. So how did you make that shift? Was it just something that naturally had to occur, or how did you do it?
A little side note, Paul, we are going to probably be breaking 75 million this year.
Wow.
So it's that intro needs to get updated soon. Definitely something that I'm obviously proud of, because we have a great team. It's not just me. We have an incredible organization. But yeah, it's been a long way. Going back to answering your question, in my case, in 2008, I was a part of the economic meltdown of the USA. And I was probably, I believe still today, Paul, I feel pretty confident that, I mean, you already know, you guys in the UK, you guys know, we all lived it worldwide, right? The US was pretty intense, because we were the ones with the whole marketing scheme of like, get your dream home, even if you can afford it, right? Which is what they call the subprime mortgage market. I believe I was the last person to ever buy a property in that real estate boom. And I bought my property. I was making, so I'm 40 years old now, Paul. That was in 13 years ago. I bought that property. I couldn't afford it. I didn't have a career. For those of you guys wondering, I have no university degree. I have no formal education. I got nobody that can confirm to you that I should be talking to you about business and success here. Nobody. So I built my own road, but all the way to 27 years old, when I bought that property that I couldn't afford, I was making $500 a week. And, you know, you can imagine, just do the math. It's $250,000 home, $2,000 mortgage. I'm making $2,000 a month. I was living basically off of whatever my wife would make, which was about $400 a week. And I already had 2 kids at that point. So it was a ridiculous thing to do. I bought the house. The market collapsed shortly after. And I found myself on a very dark spot. I've had a lot of darkness in my life, background of drugs and criminality and A lot of situations in the family, a broken family. Like it was an absolute mess my entire life. But at this point, it was one of the darkest points in my life. I have 2 kids now. I'm broke. I have nothing. I lost my house, credit card debt. I had to declare bankruptcy. And in 2010, bankruptcy goes final. So just 11 years ago, I began a process of figuring out what the heck to do with my life now, having no career, having no background, no degree, no professional experience or ability on anything whatsoever. I was a good tennis player. That would not be able to keep me alive. Obviously, I was past that prime. So I had to figure things out. And what was a catalyst for me, Paul? Looking at my 2 kids. I have 4 now. At that point, I had 2. Looking at them and just realizing. I mean, particularly my dad was able to help us throughout my life and keep us going and at least pay for my school. I was in a private school in Puerto Rico. So I said, I have a good example with my dad. I need to make sure that I figure something out for my family. And I did. I figured it out. I failed. We talked about that. I went into, we don't have enough time to talk about that, but my first venture was into, they did a, so it was an awakening. So just to be clear, at that moment, I'm like, oh my God, I'm broke. I got nothing. I got a family. I got a wife and 2 kids. And what the heck do I do? I got to do something about it, right? So it was an awakening. So I had a brother-in-law who was also going through a similar awakening. He was also broke. He also had to declare bankruptcy. He's still my partner today. And he and I were started observing. And the first thing that we saw was that they had a Robert Kiyosaki event in Tampa Bay, which, surprise, surprise, Robert Kiyosaki was nowhere to be found. It was just they were using his name, and they had some kind of like real estate thing, and they were teaching about real estate, flipping properties, hard money lending, things like that. So that was great because you didn't have to have any credit. I mean, there was these sharks would lend you money and charge you a lot of money for that. So it was pretty intense. So we went through that. We utterly failed. We didn't succeed on that. We went through stock market and buying option trading and some other crazy things. We failed aggressively. And my first successful venture came about in 2012 when I started taking the Natural Slim brand, which is the one that's going to do $75 million this year, and started putting my dad in front of a camera and said, Dad, we're going to do this. We're going to make you a superstar. And he was like, whatever, son, I'm old and I don't think I have what it takes. And I'm like, yeah, you do. You're good at teaching. You're a good seminar deliverer. Let's go. So he did it. He got in front of a camera. I started doing content, and we took the Natural Slim brand. We started the Amazon brand. At the same time, I started my own e-commerce brand, which was a bed sheets brand called Cozy House Collection, COSY. Funny story, Paul, in the US, the word cozy doesn't exist, COSY. And Cozy, COZY, was taken up. I couldn't use that one. It was already registered. It was done, right? So I'm like, I want Cozy. So I Googled it and I researched, and I found out that in the UK, you guys use COSY.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, great. We are a UK company. Fantastic, right? So I created a brand, which it's right now a company doing $25 million a year. I sold it. I exited in 2017. So I built the Natural Slim brand concurrently with this bedsheet brand. And fast forward to today, Paul, after like years of a lot of work, we made my dad into a super mega superstar. We're doing about 70 million views on his content every month, and a YouTube channel with over 4 million subscribers, and Facebook pages with millions of followers. And it's been a rocket ride. It all came crashing down, Paul, a couple of months ago. I'm in the process of reinventing our company and everything because my dad passed away unexpectedly. So 2.5 months ago, February 25th, actually. So by the time that this is live, already 3 months or more. So we're in the process. We used to be a trio, my wife, myself, and my dad, driving the energy of the Natural Slim brand. He was a content creator. He passed away. we lost them. And it's been a very intense last few months of, okay, so what's the next strategy? What does my dad want us to do? And going about that, which it has put a lot of things in perspective, right? Like the importance of family and the value of relationships and taking care of your people and such, right? But that's my story in a nutshell, Paul, that drove me to where I'm at today. I have a marketing agency now called AGM. AGM is, I created it because I wanted to help brands and businesses travel a similar road. I have 80 staff on that company. We handle a lot of VIPs, celebrities, like Daymond John is one of the clients that we have, and he also promotes our agency and our services. We have a lot of VIPs that are like famous people, like Bart Simpson. The voice of Bart Simpson is a client of my company. And we help a lot of e-commerce brands and entrepreneurs and business owners. And so I have 80 staff over there. And I got over 300 staff in the Natural Slim brand, which we now are in 9 countries. And it's a lot of fun. So we're riding that wave every single day with this e-commerce world and the social media environment, which has taken off also with the invasion of COVID-19. Things actually just accelerated, which is what happened in the last year and a half.
So firstly, like, thanks for just sharing so much there about the journey and that catalyst. And also sorry to hear about your father passing away. And what's interesting about that part of your business, like you say, you start to reevaluate. You start to reevaluate what's important. And usually we don't ask this question till later on. However, I want to ask it now because it feels a little bit more relevant, and I want to approach it in the right way. But like, what do you want to be remembered for? What do you want your legacy to be?
And you're right, Paul. That question is this is the proper time to ask it, because just talking about my dad and him passing away, it's been quite something to watch the effect that he created in the lives of so many people. And it's been magical, I would say. And obviously, the enormous amount of pain of losing what has been the most important person in your life throughout my entire life. Like, that individual opened up doors for me. He basically took care of me. He protected me. He got me out of trouble. He, what he meant to me was not something that could easily be described. So to see him, something that makes things a little bit better, a little bit easier, is to see what he created beyond his death. That's something that I strive for, just to be able to replicate the effect that he created on the world and the amount of people that he's helped, the amount of people that he's influenced, and what he means to the world. Man, Paul, if I can just go after maybe accomplishing 50% of that over my entire life, then I'm going to be extremely happy and satisfied with the life that I lived. For me, I want to be able to help. I want to help people. I enjoy the game of life. I made a lot of money. We're entrepreneurs, right? So there's no such thing as we made too much and we're quitting the game of making money. We keep on making money. We keep on looking for opportunities to make money, because the reality is that senior to all of it, it is just a game, and we enjoy the game. We enjoy playing the game. Like, our kids enjoy playing Fortnite, and they enjoy playing, I don't know, that stupid game that went viral internationally, the imposter game, and all these things, right? They enjoy that. I really enjoy the process of creating a brand and seeing it succeed and seeing it help people and influence the world. I mean, that for me, it's like a humongous thrill. So because of that, we keep on doing that. So along the way, I want to help a lot of businesses. I want to help a lot of people. I want to make an impact. I always tell my guys, look, when you're helping a business become successful, become profitable, get high return on investment, and make sure that they're profitable, right? You're not helping just a business. You're helping the staff of that business keep a job, and you're helping the families of the people in that business. So the effect that you have with this influence is quite massive. And that for me is a driver, right? I just get driven by that. So when it's all said and done, it's all about legacy, right? We had a true story, Paul. Like when my dad passed, we he has a big audience on social media, huge audience. This guy was like a superstar, probably one of the biggest Latin American influencers in the world. All right. I challenge other Latin American influencers to show that they're bigger than him. We actually did 2 weeks after he passed. There was a lot of questions about his life and what happened and a lot of things. So we went live and we did on his YouTube channel. We did a tribute to my dad. We had 120,000 people live attend the event, 70,000 on YouTube, 50,000 on Facebook. And one of the things that I did was that I read the definition of the word legacy. And the definition of legacy if you guys just Google on Google, definition legacy, this is what I strive for. Like, this is what I'm looking for, right? And it says an amount of money or property or intellectual information left to someone in a will. And there's a lot more to that. But for example, what legacy means, it's a gift by will, especially of money or other personal property. Something transmitted let me give you this one. Something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or predecessor or from the past, the legacy of the ancient philosophers, for example, right? So something that moves on to this new generation. And that's the best way to achieve immortality. If you want to be around for generations to come, especially in this era that we live in right now of the internet. I mean, my great grandchildren can go back to the internet and find out exactly how their great granddad would operate and live life, and how he looked and how he communicated. Before the internet, we only have pictures and images of our ancestors, right? So it's quite a unique thing that we're living through that. So to be able to leave something behind that makes us immortal, that keeps on helping beyond our body, that's something that I definitely want to strive for sure.
And I will say at the start of this podcast, we obviously probably didn't know where this conversation was going to go, but I think it's really impactful to firstly share that story, and secondly, what, like you say, when you look at legacy, that transference of something, whether it be knowledge, whether it be money, whether it be assets, from one person to another after that person has moved on. So I love the power that's going to drive you guys to work. And is that going to drive you to work? If you're okay to dive into this a little bit more as well, is that going to drive you to work harder or work smarter to actually spend more time with your family as well moving forward? Because you're growing so much. Like,
yeah. Paul, it's a good question. In my case, a big change that I've had is just making sure that I don't ignore the important people in my life because I'm too busy. Very, very important. And that's something that I will pass along to you guys, because when this happens, right? Like when you lose, my dad was 71 years old. He was very healthy. He's been healthy. I mean, he was a health nut. That was his area, right? He taught people how to be healthy for a living. His subject was metabolism and energy and weight loss and all these different things. So to have situations that like what happened to him along the way, it shows you the frailty, the delicacy of life. So you never know. So when they say on a cliche-ish way that you got to live your life as every single day being your last day, I can tell you right now, guys, my regrets with my dad not having that person around is that I didn't communicate with him enough. I didn't tell him enough how much he meant, and I didn't connect enough, and I didn't cherish every single day of my life with him as much as possible. And that is applicable to everybody around you because life is too frail. So if you think about your mom and dad or your kids or your neighbors or that you are close with or anybody, always be nice, kindness, compassion, feeling like a real desire to help people and just connect with people. That trumps everything else out there. So I would tell you guys that that's a very important aspect that I think is important for all of us to carry on in our minds, in our universe, and live like that, right? Just because that way, when something happens that you don't expect, which in my case, damn, did I not expect that? You have at least less regrets, and regrets are terrible. They're absolutely horrible. They keep you awake. You can't stop thinking about it. They're in your head nonstop. And you want to try to avoid those regrets because they will be with you forever and ever, right? So I would tell you that in my case, I have always considered family very important. I have 4 kids. My wife and I have a very close relationship. We've been married for almost 16 years. And one thing that bonds us even more is that we are both very, very hardcore entrepreneurs. And because of that, she's not a chef. She doesn't cook for me. That's not her thing. If I'm lucky, she'll do my dry cleaning. But other than that, she's a hardcore, intense entrepreneur. And because of that, we have that same reality that we share. And we're always thinking about the same thing. We're thinking about growth, expansion, helping our staff. And that allows us to, she understands me, I understand her. And what we do is that we take our kids everywhere we go. We have adventures together with our family. So we don't have vacations. We have relocations of work. We change our physical locations. If we go to Denver or if we go to the UK, for example, I took my kids, like it's a perfect example, Paul. Last year, before COVID hit, actually, before it went really explosive in 2020, February of 2020. All right. I had to speak at the Amazon headquarters in London. They invited me to speak over there at the headquarters, and I had an event. And instead of just taking my wife, I'm like, you know what, guys, let's go. I paid for expensive tickets and I brought the entire family, and it's relocation of work. They get to spend a few days in London, visiting the city and getting familiar with some places. We stopped by on our way back. We went to Paris, and we took advantage of an opportunity of Amazon inviting me to speak over there. And I'm like, all right, great, guys. It's vacation time, right? It's let's get together and let's do this. So those things for me are really, really important. Not necessarily teaching my kids about success, but more showing my kids about success and what it takes, like what it really takes to be successful along the way. I want them to see firsthand what I do to give us the quality of life that we have, right?
Yeah, something that I know Dan Pena says is about smelling the leather. So it's interesting that you're taking your kids through that journey as well, where they get to smell the leather from a young age, and they're like, okay, cool, I understand what this is all about. I understand what Dad has to do to make that happen. So yeah, that's really, really powerful stuff. So before we wrap up today as well, I want to make sure that someone with the knowledge and expertise that you've got as well is, we want to make sure we get some strategic tactical stuff out there. So what is one quick win that someone can take away today and amplify their business?
Right. So we're talking to entrepreneurs here
Sure.
of all kinds that want to scale their businesses, correct?
Yes.
All right. So there's a lot of opportunities that are consistently moving in the world that we live in. One thing that I like to push on all my accounts, all the clients that I manage, and on myself is omnipresence. Omnipresence is something that was not possible 20 years ago, and it is possible today. 20 years ago, you had to contract very heavy media companies, and you can only afford one at a time. You can only be on GQ magazine, or you can be on the New York Times, but you couldn't be everywhere. And today we have a very unique opportunity that we can be everywhere, and it doesn't even cost more money. Sure, there are advertising opportunities, and we can talk about that briefly. But Omnipresence is senior to everything. Do not start spending your advertising dollars. Do not start spending your money in marketing your products and services unless you first build your omnipresence. What does that mean? Just be godlike, just be everywhere, open up your channels. There's about 12 platforms that are dominating attention in this world right now. That's it. Not much more than that. All right. You can count them with the fingers of your hand, the ones that are the most important ones. And you got to be everywhere. No matter if you're an e-commerce brand, whether you're a service, you're an artist, it doesn't really matter what your industry is. It's all about attention. The name of my company is AGM. And I got obsessed from the beginning. The moment that I got awakened in the world of like, hey, I think I can pave my own road and become successful, that word has stuck in my mind and it has never left. And that word is attention. You need attention. We all need attention. If you want more business, if you want more revenue, if you want more overall success, you just need more attention. If you get the attention, if you have the systems in place, you will succeed. So I would tell you guys that the first thing that you do to set you up for success is make sure that you have a content strategy and you're established across all these platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, very important, Snapchat, TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn, depending on your audience, right? You want to set up channels like Messenger marketing, Instagram direct messaging. That's coming up. If you guys don't have familiarity with something like ManyChat, it's a platform that I have won a lot of awards for, that it allows you to capture identities. Subscribers of Messenger, subscribers of Instagram, about to be rolled out any day now. Subscribers of WhatsApp coming up any day now too. It's a platform that allows you to make it into a sort of a CRM in which you can capture these identities. So basically, there's about 3 steps on that, just to simplify the whole process, Paul, and give you guys something very tactical. There's about 3 steps. Step 1 is you want to do omnipresence everywhere, right? You want to be everywhere. I like to describe this as, what is your superpower? I can tell you what mine is. My superpower is providing marketing technology, providing strategy, giving you guys a roadmap of things that work and things that are not working, so you can actually travel and try to save yourself some money along the way. I can teach companies how to be successful in marketing. That's my superpower. So I teach that subject every day on my social media channels all day long. So that's my omnipresence. I'm always providing that value, which gives me attention. Maybe somebody like Paul, you have this great superpower of interviewing people that have skills and abilities, and you're an entrepreneur yourself. So we all have something that we can provide to the world to make the world a better place. Once you figure that out, you go massive distribution of that on all these platforms: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. TikTok is on fire right now. It's the easiest platform for you to create content and go viral from all the ones that are out there at this point. But you want to use all of them, and you want to use them as much as possible and try to mix it in with quality. And if you have those elements combined, you have quality of content with quantity of content as much as possible across all these channels, and you're omnipresent, you can move on to step 2. Step 2 is going to be acquiring of these prospects. Acquiring. You're not just right now generating sales, revenue, you're acquiring prospects. And the way that you acquire these prospects, you can use a CRM that you like, whatever your favorite CRM is. It doesn't matter what that is, but social media is not a platform for you to go straight to the consumers and scale endlessly without having to build a relationship. That's not social media. Amazon does that. Amazon gets you consumers all day long, right? Straight to consumers all day long. But on social media, you want to build a presence. You want to be omnipresent. You want to capture attention. You want to get all these people in front of you. You want to show them that you're an expert in a particular field. And then you want to capture that attention and bring them to the next step of that journey, which is they're on your list, email list, ManyChat, messenger list. You want to be able to communicate them on a text list and just communicate and show them more value, which is going to earn you the right to move into step 3. Step 3 is going to be trying to get conversions on from these people to buy your products and services, actually get execution on what we're all in business for, which is making money, right? We need to make money so we can justify step one, right, along the way. And then you go back over and over again. Of course, there's more steps along the way. Like, for example, once you make somebody a customer, you need to make sure you keep them as a customer, especially if you have a product that should be bought again. You want to make sure that you keep on nurturing and providing value. And you want to do this magical thing called retargeting of these people and bring them back into your funnels over and over again. But those are the 3 basic steps that we all need to have in place. And if you don't like being in front of a camera, if you don't like talking, if you don't like your voice, if you don't like whatever, then either bring somebody else that comes in or become a brand that is faceless, doesn't have a particular face, and you're going to have to still create content and value. This environment right here that we're living in, 2021 marketing environment, requires that you earn the right to sell to people things. You need to earn the right to sell things. If you don't have that right, it's because you didn't provide enough value. So what I would ask you, any of you guys that are serious about building that journey, you got to make sure that you're first and foremost providing obsessive value to people along the way, to getting people to actually trust you enough so they can open up their wallets and their hearts and give you their money and keep on connecting with you along the way. That's the, I think I did that in about 6 minutes, Paul. It's a overall big picture strategy that we all need to incorporate, and it is applicable to any business out there, no matter who you are and what you're trying to do. It is a formula that applies and works for every single one of us.
It's a big quick win. Follow the process, and listen back to this as well if you just listen to that, because it's worth listening back to, and write down the steps, because nothing changes without implementation. So that is fantastic, Manuel. It's been amazing having you on the show. Where can people find out more about you and AGM?
Well, and we have a website for the company, agmagency.com. Everybody wants to find out what we do there. We have a lot of value in there too. And I have my own blog, which is manuelsuarez.com. Also, a lot of articles come out there almost every day on the subject of my superpower, right, which is marketing. And on social media, guys, you can find me everywhere. And Instagram is Mr. Manuel Suarez, and Facebook, Manuel Suarez. You're going to find me there. And on YouTube, I got a channel called Manuel Suarez too. Hopefully you can find a ton of value all over the place. I am walking the talk myself. So when I say that to be omnipresent, I promise you guys, I'm working on being omnipresent myself.
I love it. Fantastic. You've been listening to the Amplify to 7 Figures podcast with me, Paul Ace, and my amazing guest, Manuel Suarez. Remember, amplify your business and amplify your life. Have a fantastic day. See you soon. Thanks for listening to the Amplify to 7 Figures podcast. To access the show notes, episodes, and this month's giveaway, head over to www.amplifyto7figures.com. Remember, amplify your business, amplify your life.